Welcome everybody. My name is Brendan Kelly. I'm a moderator over at GMAT Club, and welcome to another episode on the MBA Spotlight, and this is the US Canada East Coast edition. I am joined with several admissions committee members, and I'd like to go ahead and get us started and just go ahead and give a round of introductions. So Gina, if you wanted to start us off.
Hi, good evening. I'm Gina Cicchetti. I'm one of the Associate Directors of Admission at Tepper School of Business, and I've been there for a couple years, but I've been in the admissions world for many. So thank you.
Thank you so much. And then following with you, Catherine.
Definitely. Really excited to be here tonight. I'm joining you from Minneapolis, Minnesota, and representing the Carlson School of Management. I've been there for about 3.5 years, and I'm currently Associate Director of Admissions. I work most closely with the full-time MBA program, but do work across all 4 of our options.
Fantastic. Thank you, Catherine. And then finally, last but not least, Ms. Linda.
Hello, welcome. Nice to have you all here this evening. I'm Linda Vanderberg. I am one of the assistant directors for a full-time MBA program. And I have been with Rotman for 16 years, where I have had most of my experience in admissions, and now for probably the last 9 years with the full-time MBA program.
Fantastic. And I think a good way to get us kicked off is I know a lot of the people that are going to be watching this video and then here today are going to be working on their round 2 applications or even maybe next year. So I'd like to kind of go around the table and ask a little bit, can you briefly describe your MBA program, just briefly, and then maybe your mission statement and why an MBA at your program, why now? And then we'll start, I guess, in the same order. So Gina, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. So at Tepper, we have the full-time program and a part-time online hybrid and a part-time flex program, which consists of beginning the program online, but it's really important to note that we offer access weekends where you come together for live classes with your faculty. So the full-time program, which I'm sure the majority of you may be interested in, is of 2 years with an internship. And I find that people who are drawn to Tepper really want to combine their analytical background with also their leadership skills. And you have the ability to work with a leadership coach as well during your time.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you, Gina. And then go ahead, Catherine.
Definitely. So some of what Gina says also applies to the Carlson School. We do offer a variety of formats. We have a part-time MBA program, which you can do a mix of in-person and virtual. Online MBA, which also you can opt into in-person experiences if you'd like, and then also our full-time MBA program, which is a 2-year program. And a couple of things that I think make us unique: we are part of a large flagship state research institution. The University of Minnesota is one of the largest schools in the country, and you have all of that available to you at your fingertips in the heart of Minneapolis's business community, which is home to 16 Fortune 500 companies and almost every industry vertical represented. But at the same time, when you come to school every day, you're coming into a class of fewer than 100 full-time MBA students and a really tight-knit, community-oriented group. And as a school, our motto is business as a force for good, and we do really try to live out that social impact mission.
Thank you very much, Catherine. And then on to you, Linda. Sure. I'll start with our mission statement at the Rotman School of Management. Our mission is to be a catalyst for positive change, rooted in transformational learning, informed by original insight, and inspired by the biggest challenges in business and society. In our teaching and learning, as well as our investigations and partnerships, we strive to behave honestly, ethically, and responsibly. And so I know that we're a combination of Canadians and US, but we do offer for our international candidates, we'll speak to the full-time MBA program, which is what I represent, but to our Canadian audience, we do have part-time program, which is morning and evening, and of course some other professional programs, but specific to MBA, full-time morning and evening would be the cohorts we have. So our full-time MBA, I'll speak to, is 16 months of academic study. We do start in September. We do also have a 4-month flexible internship that is mandatory. It is an elective course, so you have a 20-month study. And that flexible internship can move between summer, fall, or winter, which is unique to an MBA program. Many of our students coming into the MBA are career changers, and so they really need that internship experience to get their foot into a new career. And I'd also say to our international audience here, we do offer a 3-year work permit, which makes you eligible to stay and work in Canada for up to 3 years, post a 2-year graduate program. So great opportunity. You know, it's equal opportunity for domestic and internationals to seek employment in Canada. And we do have an extensive career team. We have a career coaching model that each student has a dedicated career coach throughout the 2 years of the program, not only to seek employment in Toronto or Canada, which most do as the 2nd largest business financial center in North America, but we also can help students seek opportunities, you know, perhaps back in the United States or around the world.
Fantastic, and thank you all. I know we're on a shortened time frame, and you did a great job kind of explaining almost everything in that like 1 to 2 minute spiel. So thank you so much. I would like to kind of move away from the round robin and just ask some ad hoc questions. I think specifically right now we are going through a very different time. You know, a lot of people are seeing new reports coming out of extreme volumes to MBA programs, and they're psyching themselves up. Do I apply now? Do I wait until things get better? And then of course with the online experience as well, there's some issues that people are a little afraid of there. Do you have any tips for maybe students who are conflicted on should I go now or should I wait? What are your thoughts on that?
I'll go. Well, I think it's really looking at the timing of your application. So where are you in your career? We at Rotman, you know, 2 years minimum of what we expect coming into the MBA program. So depending on where you are in your career, but I would say any time that there is a downturn in the economy, that we would see an uptake in applications, and it is quite a competitive application pool this year. So I would think, you know, are you kind of plateauing in your career? Perhaps maybe lost your job due to the pandemic, unfortunately, or you know you want to pivot into something different. I'd say now would be the time to enter into an MBA program, whatever one would fit the goals and meets the criteria of what you're seeking in an MBA program, so that you can be ready. And hopefully this pandemic doesn't last too much longer. We can get into recovery mode, and then you're ready for industry when the program ends. So I would say if you're at a point where the MBA is right for you by career or just career experience or looking to change, I would say enter the MBA now.
That's fantastic. And then Catherine or Gina, did you have anything else to add there?
Yeah, I was just going to add to connect to each and every school, because every school is probably going to have a different piece of advice on, you know, are their admissions criteria more selective in round 1 versus round 4, or is it the reverse for what they're seeing this year? And I think, you know, broadly speaking, I think typically a good rule of thumb is apply whenever your application is as strong as it's going to be. But there are nuances to that at each school, and also for scholarship consideration, that looks different at each school. So my advice, 1, for your application process, but 2, for actually strengthening your candidacy to each school, is to connect individually with admissions people like all of us on this call, and talk to them about your profile, talk to them about your career path thus far and what your goals are, and we can best personalize, advise you, and also it gives you an opportunity to make a personal connection with us as well.
Great, thank you so much. And then Gina, I know they've blown it up, but anything else on your end as well?
No, I mean, I think what Linda and Catherine said is really great. And it's really, you know, when it's time for you to pursue the MBA. And so just think about that. Think about your career, where you want to see yourself. And again, as Catherine stated, start to begin to make connections at the schools.
Yeah, fantastic advice. So yes, if anybody does have those concerns, I think it's a very personal decisions, and don't rely on the reports coming out from other organizations about volume and everything like that to make your decision for you. It has to be yourself. I do want to take a quick pause and just remind everyone that in about 15 minutes, we're going to be breaking into our individual Zoom calls. So if you did not sign up or you're missing a Zoom link, we will be sharing that in the comments. So make sure you go ahead and click and sign up. I believe everyone here on the call will be there. So definitely make sure you go ahead and do that. And then caveat, or I guess using that as a bridge, what would you give as recommendations to some of the students that are going to be joining these sessions today to maybe get the most out of their time with you? And once again, feel free to just jump in and give your answer.
Well, I would say if they haven't already done so, review our websites, get to know our programs so that you can be well prepared to come into these rooms and ask questions. You know, I've participated in many, and I'm sure that you ladies have as well too. And to really understand a school is to know what you want and be able to ask the school the questions. I mean, I'm sure we'll all do an overview for those who may not have researched, but it would have helped if you haven't already to have reviewed the websites prior to coming into those Zoom rooms. But we're here to you know, kind of share and give you information for you to ask questions back as well.
Good advice. Good advice. Thank you. And then Gina, Catherine, anything else on your end?
No, I think that's something pretty well in.
Yeah, I do think that that's one of the most important things, and I think that goes along with more than just the Zoom rooms today as well. Before you send emails to admissions asking specific questions, definitely make sure you check out what the school's website. I know all of you are more than excited to answer anybody's questions, but I do think it helps if that question isn't on the front page when you go up. So thank you for that. Oh.
I was also just going to add, I take advantage of this opportunity to be virtual. You get to maybe meet with a different list of schools than who can attend an in-person event. So take a couple chances and maybe, you know, sign up for meeting with a couple schools that you haven't heard of or you don't know anything about, and see what you can learn in a quick Zoom meeting.
That's great. Thank you. And then maybe moving into a bit of a more specific question. I'd love for each of you to talk about maybe the location of your schools. I know we don't get into that in a lot of these events. So what do you love about where your school is located, and what would you kind of preach to those students who are maybe just not wanting to move away from home, or they don't know what they're going to do when they get there? I'd love to hear a little bit about some activities you think would be beneficial for everyone. And I guess we'll go in order again. So Gina, please go ahead and start us off.
Well, I would say that, first of all, I think you can move anywhere for 2 years. But, you know, Tepper is located in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and, you know, it's a middle-sized city, you know, obviously smaller than in New York or Chicago, but it has everything that the larger cities have. We have the sports, the theater district, the restaurant scene is amazing. And as someone who does not really enjoy cooking, I rely on that. But also the cost of living in Pittsburgh is very, very low. So, you know, I think that's something else to consider. You're giving up your salary. You want to have fun. You know, that's also part of attending an MBA program, making the connections with your friends in your class and just having a good time as well. And you want to be able to afford to do that. So you definitely can in Pittsburgh. And the campus is just about a mile outside of central downtown. But you know, it's great. There's a lot of activities if you're an outdoors person, or just, you know, enjoy being outside and having a good time.
That's great. Thank you. Thank you so much. And Catherine, go ahead.
Yeah, definitely. So I guess Tepper and Carlson are a little bit more similar than I even knew coming into this, because some of those same things I think apply to Minneapolis, in that we are a mid-sized city, about 2 million in the metro area. We have, I think, the most parks per capita in a metro area. There's a ton of green space, which is also great for people who want to be outside, even when it's a little chilly out like it is today. We're definitely known for braving the elements and being outside, even if it is a colder climate in the winter months. But some of the other things we're known for is Minnesota nice, and I think we are a welcoming community. I think you would hear similar sentiments, talking to our international students, talking to students who have moved from other parts of the country. And I think just my own experience moving to Minnesota from the East Coast, I was impressed with the welcoming community. And I think Minneapolis right now is also unfortunately a hub for a lot of conversations about social justice and what race in our city looks like. And I think there is a lot of energy around that right now, which I think also provides, certainly for our current MBA students, some unique opportunities to be involved in some really important social justice work.
That's a great point. That's a great point. Thank you so much. And then Linda. Oh, and you're on mute, Linda.
Yeah. How'd
that
happen? I'm good?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. So I'm going to say Toronto certainly is the city of opportunity. We are, as I said before, the second largest business financial center in North America. We are the most multicultural city in the world, ahead of New York and London. We've ranked the top 10 place to live. And what's exciting about how businesses are changing, that we, one of the stats from McKinsey is saying that we're the fastest growing technology supercluster in North America. So lots of opportunity here in Toronto and in the tech industry. We have over 800,000 businesses. 38% of Canada's business headquarters are located in Toronto. And I share this with you, and I live in Toronto. I am steps away from our business school, which is part of the larger University of Toronto, located downtown. And this certainly gives you a lot easy access to employers and to recruiters. So thinking about the proximity of the business school within the city, I think is something of consideration. We talk about Bay Street, which is our equivalent to Wall Street. We're just steps away from it. So making those connections with alumni does make it a much easier and makes it an easier opportunity. We're the third largest tech sector, as I mentioned before, and we're the second opportunity. We provide industries. We support students across industries in search of opportunities here in Toronto, and we both find that both international and domestic students do look for opportunities in Toronto, and we can support that with the business that is happening here. So there's lots going on. It's a fantastic city, like the others. You know, Four Seasons. It's getting a little bit colder, but it's a walkable city. It's easy to get around. Most of our students do live within walking distance of Rotman, as we are part of, as I said, the larger University of Toronto. And so it's, you know, getting around transit for anyone who is in the Toronto area would understand that. But internationally, it's a great city, and being multicultural, you know, you can find wherever you're from in the world, you can find Toronto home.
Fantastic. And having been to each one of these three cities, I mean, everything that they've said is definitely rings true. So I do have maybe one more good question before we start to prepare to break out into those Zoom rooms. And that's back to an application-based question that I'd love to kind of get feedback from each of you. One question I see asked a lot, but you can't really get a concrete answer for, and I know you might not be able to today, but I'm curious to see your side. There's kind of this battle that a lot of applicants go through on whether they should focus on their fit within your school or whether they should distinguish themselves on how they're different from everybody applying. And I know you can kind of use that as a bridge to get to both and say, this is how I'm different and this is how this fits. But what would you say to someone that's kind of just battling on which one is more important? Do they want to know exactly who I am and why I'm different, or do they want to know who I am that is going to fit in with their community? I'm curious to see maybe what you've seen and what you like seeing in applicants' profiles.
I would say that there is no right answer, and maybe my colleagues will disagree, but I think that the best approach, no matter your application, no matter if it's college or MBA, is to be authentic and be genuine. And that always comes through on an application. And those are always my favorite applications to read. So if you're talking about your career in healthcare and why you're excited about, furthering your career goals in healthcare, and for a school like us that focuses on healthcare, we read a lot of applications, maybe with a similar theme, but that's authentically you, and that is going to come through in the application. And so I wouldn't focus so much on being different or being the same. I would just focus on being you. That's my advice.
I wouldn't disagree. Always authenticity wins out. When it comes to a Rotman MBA application, one of the things that we strive to look for in it is part of our essay. So unlike some business schools where like why their business program, why an MBA, that kind of thing, our essay is designed around spike factor. And so this is your opportunity to share with us what is unique or interesting about yourself. And so you could say a way to stand out. We do, kind of wrap it up with, where you've come through your spike factor to why an MBA and how you'll, what you can contribute as an alumni, but it's really your story. And these are ways to, as I said, stand out. It's not about, why Rotman MBA, why, what are your post-MBA career goals will come out in an interview that is by invitation, but we want to hear about you. What are your stories? And to Catherine's point, there's no wrong answer to this. It's, share with us who you are and get a better feel for who you are than what we could, through a resume or why our business school, because, you could have all kinds of reasons for going to business school, but I want to know what makes you unique.
Sure. Thank you. And Gina, anything else to add on that?
Yeah, I would just say, I agree with my colleagues, but I also feel you're the driver in determining if you're a good fit for us as well, because hopefully, you're looking at the school, you've done research, you've reached out to current students, even alums, and you're trying or beginning to envision yourself as being a potential student there. So I think, the more outreach you do, it can come through in the application. And again, like I kind of feel you're the driver and fit. So then it goes back to them being your authentic self, and I think it does come through in the application.
And I think Gina, you're right. We would only see applications because at some point, or what our programs offer, you think that this is where you could study. Of course, you could have multiple offers, but you believe in any program that you apply to that this is somewhere you could envision yourself studying and investing your time and your money. So certainly having an application would be first and foremost. You feel like we're the right place for you.
And that's a fantastic point, and something also, Gina, that you mentioned is reaching out to alumni, reaching out to current students, and then without even knowing it, a lot of times when you're filling out your essays, those conversations you have with alumni and current students actually shine through and can provide that feedback. So thank you all for those answers. And I know we do have about 2 minutes until we have to answer. So is there any, or until we have to switch into Zoom calls, so are there any kind of last minute kind of statements or anything that you just want to throw out there to someone wanting to apply to your program? Just anything that comes to mind that you want to say before we go ahead and close off? I'll go ahead and let anybody just jump in if anything comes to mind. But if not,
I'm going to just kind of finish off and echo what Catherine probably started this off, was reach out to us. So we do encourage you, and I know it seems like everyone else does, but we do pre-application meetings or assessments, you could say. So even before applying, looking at, talking through maybe you have some concerns, maybe about your undergraduate GPA or the strength of a GMAT or a GRE score. Is it eligible for admission? And although we all post, profiles of what our classes are, anything that you might want to discuss about your candidacy before even applying is your best thing to do. Always reach out, but get those questions answered before you apply to the program, because it can help you put in a better application and perhaps, mitigate the risk of getting a decision that you might not be proud of.
That's a good point. I think a lot of people tend to look at the admissions committee as a little bit of a scary group they're trying to apply to, waiting for interviews, and that might shelter some of those questions. But no, thank you, Catherine, Gina, and Linda, for really kind of providing a friendly face and showing others that they shouldn't be afraid to reach out for those specific questions. But it does look like we are about at time to go ahead and move over to the Zoom rooms. So we are going to close out here, and we will see everyone over there.
Thank you. Take care.